west side of Chicago, it's time for the Gregory Struss Show. I'm Scotty Joe Vegas, inviting you to stay tuned for the next 30 minutes, because you'll hear Taboo Topics. And now, ladies and gentlemen, a man who walks and talks and barks and dogs, Mr. Gregory, my grandma's favorite Greg Struss.
Thank you.
Hey, hi. Hey, Greg Struss. Greg Struss. Okay, there he is, then, Jim.
I don't know. Are we?
Hello.
Welcome.
Oh, Jesus.
Did I miss something?
I don't know. New way of doing the show.
I think so. Anyway, ¿cómo está?
¿Cómo está?
¿Cómo está? Welcome back to the Greg Struss Show, emanating from Elmhurst, Illinois, globe-trotting the world via YouTube and, of course, Comcast and Xfinity. I say ¿cómo está? To our good friends in Cicero, the Latino people who are tuning in. Now, I think one of the things that would have been great had I learned Spanish earlier in life at Thornton Township High School would have been to be on, what were we talking, Univision?
Telemundo.
With the Loco Gregorio Struss Show. We have two mics. We have a Mike and a Bob. Hi, how you doing? I just got to check my hair over here. Is that okay? All right.
Wow.
Thank you. Anyway, Joe, how are you doing, Scotty Joe Vegas?
I'm doing fantastic.
I got to tell you something about this guy. Not only is he a great friend, but he has like some stories before the show that we really can't talk about. We are in the men's room when we are discussing these things.
Barbershop talk.
He was talking about Lakeshore Drive and tinted windows.
And the S-turn.
And the S-turn.
Right by the Hancock building.
With the operative word,
Hancock.
that other one, right,
Yeah,
yes.
My
Okay.
little girl went up there and she had a great time and had some Java Juice.
Okay, we'll talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Joan Rivers is on life support. Can you believe that?
I thought she'd be dead by Labor Day.
No. She is, she's on life support after having gone to a doctor's office for a procedure where she stopped breathing.
Boy.
Yeah. Her face is still intact, but her entire body is on life support. So the secret is this. If you live by the scalpel, chances are likely you're going to die by the scalpel.
That's anything that you do. You live by it, you die by it.
Right.
You hug fat girls, you're going to get fat girl juice.
But what I've gotten to, and it's really not funny, but I thought it was kind of an aside,
fat girls.
is that the story read how Joan Rivers was taken away, but she was in a doctor's office, and chances are likely she was having some kind of a procedure done. And then what somebody posted on Facebook was that, well, keep in mind that even though she looks young, everything is still, 82, 83 years old.
The chassis is a little ridden.
And we don't know if the carpeting matches the drapes, but that's a totally different story.
Do you remember that girl we went to school with? Her name was Lori, or a friend of Lori that looked like Joan Rivers. Remember? She kind of looked like her a little bit.
Circa 1983? Or
yeah,
circa
Joan 1983. I mean, she was like that. You don't remember her?
No.
I went to Turnabout with her and left her there.
I'm sure you did. There
Yes,
were many people you went to Turnabout and other dances with that were kind of left behind.
A cry for help.
So anyway, Justin Bieber was arrested again.
Really? I didn't hear that.
And this time for dangerous driving and assault in Ontario, Canada.
Wow. North of the border.
So not to worry, he's just prepping for his next trip to Chicago and hopefully give them a chance to do something. Now, where is the Reverend Jesse Jackson in all of this? Justin Bieber obviously needs a strong male role model.
Yes.
Okay? And I don't see the Reverend Jackson coming in. I don't see the Reverend Al Sharpton coming in.
No, Joel Osteen.
I don't see Joel Osteen coming in. I don't see any of these people coming in.
It used to be Jim Brown.
Man.
Jim Brown would always, whenever there was a problem with somebody, like a gangs or something, they'd bring in Jim Brown. Where's Jim Brown?
Right. But don't you think that Justin Bieber needs like some kind of male role model, and yet Jesse Jackson is nowhere to be found? Now, I think that the Reverend Jackson would be perfect for this assignment. To come in and say, look at the many great things that you have before you, Justin.
The power.
The power.
Yes.
The power of change, but yet the Reverend Jackson is nowhere to be found for this kid that
Are you
needs
crying
help.
out now for
I am
the Reverend
crying out.
Jackson?
So anyway, Justin
you
Bieber
are.
is fine, and he's preparing for his next set of charges, and another city, and we hope that he's doing all right.
Maybe he likes the prison life. Maybe he wants to be, what do they say in prison?
I just feel so bad for the kid because he's crying. He needs somebody, and I think
Jesse you can read between the lines.
Right. I think Jesse Jackson would be perfect for him. All right, there was a breach of information involving credit cards and debit cards with Home Depot, so now I have to wait for my new cabinets. Anyway.
When we went down to the beach on Labor Day, we stopped at the Home Depot on North Ave. I don't know if we're allowed to say that, but they got a good restroom there. And we had 5 girls in the car plus another girl, and that was a lot of women to deal with. So I had to make sure they had to go tinkle. So we saw the Home Depot when we got off the expressway, and boom, dropped it right there. And then everybody had Lunchables and some drinks in the parking lot.
I think the reason why he likes going with all these ladies is because, and I met Hannah Joe Vegas, and we'll talk about that in our project. Yeah, I mean in our project. It'll probably end up being a project in the next segment. Anyway, what do we have tonight? We have, now if they're ready in the control room.
Are you ready in the control room?
We have the most exciting time, because now it's fall, and I thought we were going to move beyond the summer of Taboo Topics, but I've been enjoying it so much that, yes, I think they're ready. So what do we have tonight? We have
Taboo Topics! Milo?
Yes, and a lot of good ones anyway. And in the meantime, I'm Greg. This is The Greg Show, and we are reinventing community television from the west side of Chicago, and we'll be back in just a moment. Thanks for joining us. There are faint whispers that Hillary Clinton will run for president in 2016. We have some women here. Are you
let's give it up for the women. Yeah.
Imagine that, a Clinton in the Oval Office, not a Clinton in a woman's oval orifice.
Hello. She does it herself.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Greg Struss along with Scotty Joe Vegas.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Did you like that? Do you think we could do the small market thing now?
Sure.
We can look at each other.
Sure, absolutely.
Smile, and then smile to all of you. And welcome back as we emanate worldwide via the World Wide Web. We're here from the west side of Chicago. Now, do you remember the west side of Chicago is a lot different than the south side of Chicago? I feel like I can be a sports guy here with the 5 buttons, which I'm missing one, but that's just a whole separate story. And you pushed up my stool today, and I really appreciated that. But anyway, you can tune into The Greg Show here on Xfinity Comcast every Wednesday.
If you're walking through your living room, please watch for about 4 seconds. That's all I can ask.
And that's on Channel 19 here in the western suburbs. And of course, we have a plethora of Greg shows on YouTube at youtube.com with search words Greg Struss Show. And now you're the one that ought to be giggling today, because he comes in, he came into Salerno's last week. He drives all the way from Wisconsin. And I thought he was going on a trip to Minnesota to see some concerts. So I finally get to meet Hannah Joe Vegas Jr. Mm-hmm. And then the latest...
My daughter.
Your daughter. And then the latest person in your life. Mm-hmm. And then her daughters.
Yes.
And I hope that you didn't think I was rude.
No, you had to work.
Yeah. So I'm working. He says, I'm coming in. He says, are you busy? I said, I'm busy, but I will say hello to my people. And
you're like every Chicago politician.
I shook everybody's hand.
You shook everybody's hand. You patted us on the butt, and he kicked us in the butt, ass. Sorry.
So it sounds like where this guy's living. I mean, you've been living. That's great. You've been going out. You're dating. You're doing different stuff.
If you live it up, you'll never live it down. That's what Tom Waits. It's on Hold On. If you don't, there's a sign that hangs in our town. If you don't live it up, you'll never live it down.
That's a riot. All right.
Yes.
Before we get into talking about what we're going to talk about.
Hello to the waitress at the beach, on North Ave Beach.
What's her name?
She was nice. I gave her a hug, and then I put my foot around her back of her ankle and gave her a little one of those.
All right. I want to show you this picture.
All right.
Now, this is back in the day. And I don't know what I like about this picture other than the fact that I was probably about 100 pounds lighter.
Who's focusing in on that picture?
I think it's Mike.
Hey, there's Randy.
Hi, Randy.
Randy out here.
Now, that is the original studio in Dalton, Illinois. And I don't know, there's just something I like about this picture, and I can't really figure out what it is. Maybe I was young? I don't know.
Oh, I thought that was Randy.
No.
That was you?
Let's take a look at it one more time.
Holy crap.
And that's circa 1989 from...
It feels like 89.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does.
I was so miserable, but I look good. And then...
Boy, how have you grown now?
And then this was from February when Roberto was here, Roberto Montanez. And then Joe Camarillo right here.
Yeah, he drums every once in a while for NRBQ.
Where is he? Right here. That's Joe. And then you. And
who's the guy over on the left?
Now that's Michael and Stuff.
Michael and Stuff.
Yeah, he always says "and stuff" all the time.
I look like a pumpkin or like somebody that escaped from a mental institution with that haircut.
I just look like I've been to too many, all-you-can-eat buffet.
Golden buffet or Golden Corral or whatever.
I'm like, do I really look like that? I don't think I look like that now.
Oh, no. Not at all.
A bigger coat really helps.
Yes.
So wearing a coat helps, too.
That does, too, or a distraction.
Yeah. So anyway, I was talking about Joan Rivers earlier about how she was on life support, and it's very tragic because she really is the person that, when I think about pioneers in comedy, Joan Rivers did so much for. A lot of people always want to make it about gender, what she did for gender. Really women being outspoken and getting into the public eye like she did. But she really did a lot for comedy when you think about it, because the likes of Kathy Griffin and much of the stuff that came out of the 90s with that snarky humor was really because of Joan Rivers.
If you really want to see a Joan Rivers behind the scenes, watch the show Louie, where he had her on and she showed him the ropes. It was really, really good stuff.
And there was a great documentary several years ago where they went behind the scenes with Joan Rivers as she's selling her act and talking about certain things. But at 82, 83 years old, whatever it is, she's defied ageism, she has defied sexism, and really still a big part of the culture, of American culture.
If I took my contacts out, she's still hot. You know what I'm saying?
But sad to hear that she's
yes, sorry about
she's
that.
on life
support.
support.
Mrs. Rivers. Or Melissa. Melissa Rivers.
All right, we were also talking about Justin Bieber. I was mentioning him. He's a young man now. He's probably about, 19, 20 years old. And living the fast life, right? I mean, when you're worth $100 million, what are you going to do? I mean, how do you tell someone, hey, you know what, you need to go to college and really learn a skill because maybe you don't have your singing forever? I mean, what do you do with something like that?
Look what happened to Elvis.
Yeah, but I mean...
he died at 42.
But little Justin Bieber, 20 years old, I believe he's 20, and has picked up at least 4 or 5 cases in the last year, and I want to know where the Reverend Jackson is with this. Now, he likes to help people. Now, do you like this effect? I'm poking you like this?
I'm the people that's sitting on the couch. You're poking me, but he's poking you.
Right. Now, if you're going to help people, and that's what I get the impression of Reverend Jackson doing. He wants to help people.
Yes.
That's why he was in Ferguson, Missouri, I believe it is, because he wanted to help people.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
He wanted people to see the side of the issue.
That was
right?
Dr. Martin Luther King's #1 deal, was to help all people.
Right.
Yeah.
But somehow, little Justin Bieber is just being a Bieber. He's just like off to the side, and no one's paying any attention to him and what's going on with him.
If you have an idea for someone to call Justin Bieber, give you an email or something like that? Or?
I would love to work with Justin Bieber, because the first thing I would probably do, I would sit down and say what's going on. And then I would find the team of people. I would call the Reverend Jackson up and probably Al Sharpton, and I'd say, gentlemen, we have a young man here who needs some guidance. You guys have lived a life that's been interesting. You've been part of the social fabric of society, people talking about things. You've been a part of American culture.
Trending.
Yeah.
Trending.
Trending, and after 50-some-odd years, you're still, doing what you do.
Do what you do.
So how can you be a role model for this young man who is off, I just don't understand. Like, all of a sudden you have all this money and you don't follow you don't follow the laws of society. I don't understand how that works.
No, what I heard the backstory is the old man's an enabler. So his dad's kind of like crazy as well and gets him in trouble. So it's a whole family that needs probably counseling, not just the kid.
Right.
So, like all of us.
Yeah, but I would work with his family. But first I'd work with Justin Bieber, and then come up with
He's an
support
adult
system.
now.
Yeah, but I'd come up with a support system for him where he would
Yep.
be able to talk with cultural icons like Jesse Jackson and Reverend Sharpton. I don't think it would have
Not
to be
even
a race
entertainers
issue.
he probably needs. He needs like Jeff, that's like in, give me a name of a town here. Arlington Heights, that's a plumber, and he'll knock the living dog bajaja out of him. Come here, you little pixel neck.
Well, and that's just the other part of it. It's like, at what point do you outgrow a good ass whooping?
I thought my ass whooping days were over, and I got my ass whooped at 30.
By who?
Who do you think?
Papa Joe?
Papa Joe
He
Vegas.
threw down with you?
Well, he threw down, and I was like,
At 30 years old?
I was 30, so if he's 40, he was 70.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I bet he put the hurt on you, too.
Well,
Well, it wasn't talked about in your grandma's eulogy, though, was it?
No, everything else was.
Okay.
All right.
So, what are some of the things that you want to talk about today?
Teen pregnancy. Oh, are we too?
Teen pregnancy.
Teen pregnancy.
Okay. What do you want to talk about with it?
Do you remember when you were a teenager? And remember how much life you had in front of you, and you were like, "Hey, I can do anything." Now MTV's saying it's okay to have My Daddy's Mama or whatever the shows that they're having, and we're old, man. We're like Amish men on a porch.
But some things have not changed, and teen pregnancies still seem to happen quite regularly. And some of that is due to socioeconomic class where people are living, because if someone has been impoverished their lives and has learned from the family that it's okay to be pregnant at an early age, that kind of creates
You get all these
that
women
issue,
talking about
doesn't it?
gluten-free food, right?
right.
If they would put that much heart into their daughters and their sexual orientations, we'd have it whipped. But nobody wants to talk to their little girl sitting next to them.
About sex.
Yes.
Yeah, and
It's either total restraint or anything goes. So, once again, it's part of the culture. Hey, in Brazil, they're getting married early, way early. So,
and we're gonna.
are our facts true? Are we just talking crap?
We're talking whatever.
We're talking.
But we're warming it up because. Well, how do you say we should go to our segue now? Coming up or not?
Coming up in the control room. If you're ready for a
Taboo
topic, let's here we go. Taboo topic. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
Okay, hopefully they got it.
Hopefully they got it. Mike
got
was
it.
cooking a burrito.
All right. Anyway, when we come back, taboo topics, teenage pregnancy, a little bit more. Then we got
No more Jesse Jackson.
I want to talk about Jesse Jackson. I have to talk about Jesse Jackson.
Reverend, excuse me.
The Reverend Jesse Jackson, and a story that involved the Riverdale Police Department when we come back
All right.
in just a moment. Thanks for doing it.
Hey, you're a failure, Scott. I'm gonna go take Chet the drunk and drive Escanaba in a 28-foot travel trailer. That Fred Struss of yours. You got any ice cream? You got any ice cream?
Now, see, when I was working in radio at Wood FM, I have to drop the radio station
Wood?
in Grand Rapids, Michigan in the 90s. I was always told radio is continuous. It's like a loop. You never say when we come back because you're going into the break and you're coming out with weather and you're selling that song and you're shutting up. And that was it.
Wow. Were you abused?
Memos.
Did you have any positive role models in your life? Where was Jesse Jackson for you?
Where were you, Reverend Jackson? Now, see, I would love to have dinner with Jesse Jackson. I find that their history just with all the things that they've seen in their lives through the 60s and 70s, like the time that we were born. I mean, that was like just the civil rights movement, and all of those things were I don't know. I think it'd be kind of, pass the drumstick, and by the way, what was that like? And to hear it about those things.
Yes.
As they happened.
Absolutely. It's history.
It is history. But unfortunately, history is showing us that some of those things are not very nice because it's easy to prey on people's insecurities. What are some things that you're insecure about? I'm insecure about. It'd be like somebody coming and doing a rally about, you shouldn't be eating eggs and bacon 4 days a week. And then all of a sudden, here I am.
You eat eggs and bacon 4 days a week?
I was.
I was at one time. You got
I can't do it. I can't do it now.
I can't. I could if I had tried, but
Not at our age.
I'd have continual diarrhea. That's why I couldn't do it. I'm sorry.
But anyway, that aside, all of this that happened in Ferguson County, I believe it is, in Missouri, police officers shot and killed someone. It turned out to become a race situation instead of a crime situation. And I think that if we look at what happened, that we would see that there was a crime involved. Police were summoned to a scene involving criminal activity. What happened, we have no idea. A police officer had to shoot and kill an offender of some kind of crime. Now, the other side of that story could be that, the police officer abused his power and took the life of an innocent criminal, okay? When crime and innocence, it's just a very murky territory, and again, we don't know. Now, I speak from experience, having worked in a police department with people who were involved in officer-related shootings, and I will tell you, it is one of the most serious things that a police officer can face in their entire career.
It'll haunt that man for the rest of his life.
It changes lives. It changes morale. It changes a family. It changes everything. And it is not a situation that anyone in law enforcement ever wants to be faced with. So then, when you are faced with this situation of having to take the life of someone who was committing a crime of some kind, we don't know what was happening.
It's an unfortunate incident.
Right. Yeah. Police officers don't shoot to maim. They shoot to eradicate a situation. It's basically 2 shots to the heart, 1 shot to the head. That's it. It's not, okay, let's pierce his arm, and no. When there's a threat, they have to make that moment's notice and then be held up to a certain standard, not only in police departments, but now in the media and the public at large. And this guy, whoever this police officer was, is not going to get treated fairly because it has become a social and political statement. Now, my issue with all of this is a police chief's first responsibility is to the men and women who he is in charge of in a police department. All right? That person, the chief of police, is usually selected by either by a board of trustees, if you're in a smaller department, aldermen, and of course is appointed by the mayor. They sign a contract for X amount of years, and usually when a mayor changes, you'll see the police chief, fire chief, because there's some politics involved.
Politicking.
So anyway, I don't know who this police chief is in Missouri County, ends up marching with the Reverend Jackson and Reverend Sharpton, which was perfectly their right to do so. Mm-hmm. But when you're in a public office, my opinion is you need to play things by the book. And this guy sold everybody out by marching in a public demonstration, okay, which was not a separation of church and state, separation of church and state. It was not a separation of his judicial duties, his politics.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
So he's holding hands with everyone, which is his right, but as chief of police,
was he off duty?
You're never off duty.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Okay, but he was sure to be seen on CNN, holding hands, talking about it, and I just think that from the standpoint of being an administrator and being in charge of a police department during a situation that has become a national travesty, that you got to play it by the book. And to me, he should have been brought up on disciplinary charges and ethical violations because he's out demonstrating when he should have been with his police officers.
I'm with you, but what was he demonstrating?
He was demonstrating unity, but it doesn't really matter what that is because it's a public demonstration.
Okay.
All right?
You're right.
Okay. Now, some people will say you're a little, you're a little off base here. Now, if I said that he was marching with all black people, it would sound racist.
Yep.
But it really isn't racist. It's the truth. He was marching with other black people involving a situation where a white police officer.
But he was marching with everybody.
But he still was involved in a public demonstration. All right? You have to have permits for a public demonstration, but you just don't do that stuff, I don't think.
I hear you.
Because it's an ethical situation. It shows that you're not
the crew just left.
It shows that he's not really supporting his department and what they're going through. He's supporting the cause that's down there because of something that happened within his department. Whether or not that's true.
I'll talk about pirates real quick.
Hold on, no. But I want to tell you this because, and I don't mean, because this is a serious thing.
I was being serious.
The deal is this. I think that when someone is in that kind of office, that the first responsibility is towards the community and towards the people who are involved in the department in which they supervise. All right? So first thing I would have done, I would have called in either another department like the state police and had them take care of the policing while an investigation was launched, and I would have put all the politics aside and got down to what really happened. And to control the narrative, because the narrative was never controlled, and now we're never going to know what happened. What is your story with the pirates?
Well, basically, you have a pirate captain that, the whole crew is always against the captain. It's tough being the captain. So imagine making those decisions. And I had a better point in the, now it's gone. But it's like, mutiny in the bounty. It's like, oh, the captain, we don't like the captain. Well,
Yeah. What is it about? Is it about doing a job or is it about race? I don't know any police officer out there that just wants to shoot and kill somebody. There's just too much heat. There's too much. It's too sad. It's too. It's disgusting, is what it is.
You'll get barbecued if you do it.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll get in front of you. They'll have a judge on you. They'll have a lawyer. The department, this town gets sued. There's so much. It's too much.
Yeah. So sometimes I guess you got to think about, well, is my life worth more than this person? Because I'm going to be persecuted anyway. And that's how I see this whole thing having.
It's a shame a youth got shot.
Yes, and that's sad. A young man's life was taken, and unfortunately, due to whatever the circumstances were, we will never know. No. Now, the media has narrated it a certain time, and this is the other thing I like, and we'll go to break, I'm sorry, is that it's funny how when there's a black-on situation happening, there's always a black reporter. When there's a Hispanic situation going on, there's always a Latino reporter.
But that's the white producer saying to do that.
But because it's appealing, because it sells ads.
It sells ads, that's all.
Yeah, and it's like, well, why is a white guy going to come down and do a report on this? I would have loved to have gone down and talked to the people and said, what's going on? And I'm not saying the people. I'm saying the people that are involved in all of it. Mm-hmm. It seems like it's too much posturing and creating, and continuing some kind of element of hate that we don't need to live with.
Our media that we live with the instant phone and instant everything, it's... we're doomed.
And always remember, you can tune into The Greg Show every Wednesday night here on Comcast and Xfinity in the west side of Chicago, as well as on YouTube. And please drop us a line. Dan DeBoer's been dropping us a line. You've been seeing that? I haven't been able to say hi to him. So hello, Dan, and thanks for commenting on the show.
I want to thank the town of Elmhurst, or the city, and I want to thank all the people here at Comcast because they're great people.
Our two mics and our two Bobs tonight.
And our two Bobs and two mics and the invisible camera person named later in the credits.
Okay. Anyway, Greg Struss, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Goodbye, everybody.